Okay. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them a review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mario. This is the channel all about amusement park type stuff, but mostly coasters. And today, in my never-ending journey to rank and review every single coaster I have ever been on, we're going to be talking about Rougarou at Cedar Point. And really quick, I just wanted to say thank you to those of you that are subscribed to this channel. You guys are awesome. And to anybody that's not subscribed, you better, because if you don't, B&M will turn all of its coasters back into stand-up coasters, even the ones that weren't before. Even flying coasters. That's not going to be fun. But without any further ado, let's review. Now to just go over the stats of Rougarou, we have a height of 145 feet, a max speed of 60 miles per hour, a total of 4 inversions, a track length of 3,900 feet, and a solid ride duration of 1 minute from the end of the lift hill till the final brake run. And also worth mentioning, for anyone that didn't know, Rougarou used to be a stand-up roller coaster that got converted into a floorless coaster. It got converted into a floorless coaster. Boy, I can sure speak so well today. And since I just did a review on Raptor last week, this ride is very similar statistically speaking, but significantly better as far as ride experience goes. And to dive a little bit further into the ride experience of this coaster, let's talk about the off-ride experience. This ride's sort of located in the middle of the park, right up against the midway. Even if you're not a big fan of this coaster, you gotta admit that it does look pretty nice. It has a decent setting partially over water. Even some of the queue leading up to the ride is like a bridge that's floating on water. Really unique. Not a lot of queues are like that. Pretty fun in that respect. You have some also like wheat looking grass growing in front of the ride that, I don't know, just gives it a nice vibe. I also think this ride has an awesome sign. But as far as theming goes, I don't get it. I mean, it's like, this is the theme of the ride. I joked about Raptor last week. I know Raptor is themed to like raptors, like birds of prey. Rougarou, it's like a French werewolf or something. I don't know. I also don't know how that translates into this color scheme, and I don't get the theming. But just like Raptor, it does look nice, so that's good. Points there. Now, I don't know if operations for this coaster are particularly good, but I do know it never has a wait. That could just be due to its impopularity, but every time I've ridden this coaster, I've waited 5 minutes tops for it. That's another pro in my book. Even if you're not the biggest fan of riding this ride, well, you at least don't have to wait that long to ride it. But enough about all that off-ride nonsense. Let's get into the on-ride experience. And before I get into the layout, I'm just going to nip one thing in the bud. But what do you nip? Nip it in the bud, right? Anyway, I don't find this attraction to be rough. For me personally, in my experience, is not a really shaky ride. It seems most other people that have been on this coaster say it is really shaky, and I could see how that may be the case towards the front of the ride. Just seeing the ride in person, it does look like that front car is shaking side to side like nothing else. But I'm not really going to talk about any particular moments that are rough or uncomfortable because I thought the whole ride was smooth and enjoyable. But as far as the layout goes, you go straight into the 100 whatever foot tall lift hill. Relatively tall, not super tall compared to a lot of the other rides at Cedar Point. You dip into a relatively fun pre-drop that has a swooping turn, and you go down a not very steep, straight first drop. And the first drop is nothing special, but this drop isn't really meant to do anything other than just get you up to speed to make it through the rest of the ride. After the drop, you hit the first inversion, which is a vertical loop. It's a classic vertical loop. Nothing to write home about, nothing particularly forceful, but it is good. Next, you go into a dive loop, which is the ride's second inversion, and this is better than the loop for sure. It's a lot more compact, it's tight, it's slightly whippy, but most enjoyably of all, it is forceful. Sitting in the back, you get pulled through that that inversion, so you feel yourself accelerating going through it. You really feel yourself getting pushed into your seat. Really fun. After that, you go into an element that is relatively unique for a floorless coaster. That's gonna kind of be a common theme for this ride since it did used to be a stand-up coaster. You're gonna see lots of elements that you don't typically see on other floorless coasters. I don't know what you would even call this element. It's sort of like a high up turnaround. I'm sure that's what B&M called it. This element isn't anything that special, but it doesn't really slow the pacing of the ride down. Kind of how Raptor has those turns that are just there and do slow the pacing down. Yeah, this turn doesn't do that. It just doesn't particularly provide any forces. But coming out of this turnaround, you head into my favorite inversion on the ride, and what very well might be my favorite element on the ride altogether. You hit an inclined loop. And why is this element so good? Well, you take it so fast that you are just slammed into your seat, and especially in the back row, getting whipped out of it yet again. Sitting in the back, you're getting pulled out of all of these elements. And it's nice to just have something that's different than a standard vertical loop. So having that incline, that tilt to it, makes it really unique for a B&M looping coaster. And sorry to keep making the comparisons to Raptor, but at this point of the ride, you could probably tell it does have significantly better pacing. At no point has it let up. It just is element to element to element. But after that inclined loop, you head into another element that you don't really see on any other B&M floorless coasters, and that's a really fast-paced transition from a leftward bank to a right bank. It leads to some great laterals. I know it can be uncomfortable for some people since it does have over-the-shoulder restraints, but it's really fun to get more variation of forces than just positives on a B&M looping coaster. So adding some laterals in there, really, really interesting and unique. And again, one of the better elements on the ride. After that, you turn up into the mid-course brake run, and literally even just turning into the mid-course brake run is more exciting than turning into the mid-course on Raptor. You're going into it with so much speed, and you go through the mid-course brake run relatively quickly, so it's not really even a part that slows down the pacing of the ride. There's non-brake runs on Raptor that slow down the pacing worse than this brake run does on Rougarou, if that sentence makes any sense. Coming out of that mid-course brake run, you have a little bit of a dip, and that dip does provide pretty good floater in the back row. So again, more forces than just positives, which is a big positive. After that, you go into a corkscrew, which is a B&M corkscrew, so you know how that feels, and it's pretty good. After that, you have a turn, another twisty section, which yet again offers good laterals and even a little bit of airtime, and then a couple more twists and turns. You're traversing this really compact twists and turns, and then you finally end up at the final brake run. And this ride really just doesn't let up. It's non-stop from the first drop till the final brake run, and not only does it just have really good pacing, but it also has really good elements the entire ride. I think there's only a couple parts of the ride where it's not doing anything noteworthy, but it's still fun the whole way through. But anyways, with all that being said, let's get into a pros and cons list. First pro, again, that pacing, non-stop. Second pro, forceful. It's an intense ride, but it's still enjoyable. Really, really good in that department. Third, very good variety. And fourth, like setting, I don't know. I really like the area that it's in. I like that it's over the water. It's good. Fourth pro is, it's a good. Cons, I really can't think of any, honestly. It doesn't do anything that really grinds my gears. I mean, maybe it could have a better first drop. It does what it wants to do well, and I genuinely can't think of any cons for this ride, which is probably going to piss some people off, but hey, who cares? So let's go ahead and rate this coaster. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst ride I've ever been on, 10 being the best ride I've ever been on, and 5 being meh. I don't know, honestly, somewhere 8.5, 9. I'm gonna go ahead and lean towards 9, honestly. For a B&M looper, to me, it's as good as it gets. People not gonna be happy, but me happy. As far as what it's ranked, out of the 215 coasters I've been on so far, Rougarou sitting pretty at number 27. As far as where that compares to the other rides I've talked about, only Velocicoaster and Superman Ride of Steel are better. I think just the scale and the style of those rides fit my personal preference a little bit better. As far as loopers go, Rougarou is pretty much as good as it gets. I even do think it's better than Lightning Run, Incredicoaster, Thunder Run, all of those. It just nails the pacing. Every element is really good. But this is just currently where it sits. I'll go on more coasters. My rankings will change, and maybe one day I'll learn how to speak properly. Probably not. If you guys want to see the full list of every coaster that I've ranked in this series so far, go ahead and check the link in the description. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you dislike the video, give it 2 thumbs down so I know you didn't like it. Go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. Make sure you share the video if you're feeling extra fancy. And make sure you tune in next time. Turn in. I really can't speak.
Make sure you turn up next time.
Make sure you turn up next time. My next video is going to be lit. I don't know if you guys can hear Javi cackling over there. Make sure you tune in next time where I'll be talking about... Okay, well, you guys probably don't know what Train Town is, but you will.